Rockstar Studios. Playing through Red Dead Redemption 2 for the very first time is one of those experiences you'll never forget. It tells a tale of a man named Arthur Morgan that started out this game as a bad person. With high enough honor, you can make him a great person at the end of the game, thus making the theme of redemption work better than it did in the first game. But there's where the problem lies. You see, the theme of redemption really only works if you complete the game with high honor, meaning Arthur will be the exact same person he was throughout the entire game if you complete the game with low honor, which kinda destroys the whole theme of redemption. Rockstar Games.
I found a place where we can get some shelter. Let Davy rest while he... You know.
That is the most cowboyish voice I've ever heard. I guess Rockstar did make the right choice by making Roger Clark the voice of Arthur Morgan.
Davy's dead.
Aw, so sad of what happened to good old Davy. Wait a minute, who the fuck is Davy? Micah Bell. Despite me using a keyboard and mouse in this footage, if you use a controller or play on console, you'll quickly find out that the game uses the same clunky snap-on to lock-on aim mechanic that Rockstar has been using since GTA 4 back in 2008. Keep in mind, GTA 4 came out 1 year after I was born. Let that sink in. The gunplay in this game feels like a mini-game rather than you choosing what you want to do, and it works kinda like this. You hold down the left trigger and the reticle locks onto your enemy. Then you're meant to drag the reticle towards the head using the right stick, then you press down the right trigger. It's a clunky, outdated gunplay that should have been left back in the Xbox 360 era. You can turn it off in the settings, but no matter how much time you spend adjusting those settings, it'll never quite feel right. Rockstar clearly didn't intend for you to play the game like that. It's just there if you want to feel a little less restricted. Devs, I'm pretty sure the player isn't meant to see this. Instead of trying to brawl, you could have just went for Arthur's gun that he just dropped on the floor when you ambushed him. Knocking over a table with a lantern on it is possibly the dumbest thing you could have done in this situation.
I know. If the situation were reversed, he'd look for me.
You think you're funny, huh, Rockstar? Making Javier say, I know if the situation were reversed, he'd look for me, which is something that will ironically happen in the first game.
We'll go find something. Come on, Arthur.
Charles, your hand is all messed up. You are not in a position to go out hunting with Arthur.
You fools punching each other when Colm O'Driscoll's needing punching hard.
Dutch, you weren't in here when Micah punched Bill, so how would you know?
The last thing we need is to get bushwhacked by Colm O'Driscoll. Let's go.
I know you hate him, Dutch.
He's here for us.
Colm O'Driscoll and his men was only up here to rob a train. They didn't even know you were up here. The game allows you to loot dead corpses as a way to immerse you more into the game, but completely overlooking the fact that the time it takes to loot a corpse and the frustration that comes with it will take you right out of that immersion. How the hell did Kieran not catch on fire?
Shit, no, what? God.
This is why you don't attach the wire to the detonator while Bill was still setting up the dynamite under the bridge.
I'm going to head into the local town and, see if I can strike up a little business.
How is Strauss able to lend people money when the gang is currently broke? They haven't sold the bearer bonds from the train robbery back in the mountains, and all the gang's money is still in Blackwater. What is it with this game and not letting me run within my own camp? There are times where I go back to my camp to do one simple thing and it takes around 5 minutes to do it, primarily because Arthur moves like a sloth trying to run a marathon within a small box. The almighty Rockstar Games did the exact same thing within the GTA 5 story mode, where the game doesn't allow you to run within any of your safe houses. Keep in mind, some of these places were huge, just like the camps in Red Dead Redemption 2. Here in this section, you come across a man named Anthony Foreman, who is a guy you won't see again until Chapter 4. One of the problems with Rockstar's story structure is this. The game has several plot threads that start, reach no conclusion, then brought up again hours later after you've forgotten about them. They then tie them all up at the end of the game by killing off every antagonist. I didn't even remember that Anthony Foreman was even in Chapter 2 until writing the script for his video.
Oh, and we have our answer!
Did Javier just glass someone that had nothing to do with the guy Bill punched? The game not allowing me to name my horse Horsecum is just inviting me to become more creative. This is why instead of spelling the word cum, C-U-M, I spelled it C-O-M-E as more of a play on words.
Morgan, you got throwing knives in your saddlebag. Dud said that you might... I was asked to give them, and I'm doing you the further courtesy of telling you about it. Next time you want to give me something, how about you give it to me, instead of hiding it somewhere?
hoping the opportunity comes up to mention it.
Arthur would be great at video game sins.
See? This is why you're an O'Driscoll, O'Driscoll. You're out to survive. We're out to live.
John, you guys have been on the run since y'all shot up the town in Blackwater. It was so bad you guys had to flee into the mountains. Add the fact that you can't stay in one place for the rest of your lives, and you can't go into town without fear of being recognized, which is why you always have to come up with fake names. That is not living. That is trying to survive. That shot came from above and to the left, indicated by the bullet trail. Yet Kieran is not on the same level, but a little bit below Arthur. Keep in mind, Kieran is the one that shot that O'Driscoll.
Gentlemen, Sean is being moved up the upper Montana, then to a federal prison.
We can't be rescuing people from some federal prison.
Remember this line for when Sadie and Arthur rescued John from a federal prison.
Take that kid into town. Valentine, not Strawberry. Get him drunk.
So while Micah's locked inside a jail cell, your plans for Arthur to get Lenny drunk with the possibility of those two getting arrested.
Lenny? Sorry.
If you guys didn't want anyone to walk in, you could have just locked the door. Here in this scene, Lenny gets arrested, yet next time you see him, he'll be back at camp.
I'm free. I am free.
You don't seem free, friend. You seem drunk.
Arthur, you just woke up from getting drunk with Lenny. You have no room to talk.
You will die the most painful death imaginable, and that's this. The slow realization that you would rather be dead than have to listen to her crap for a moment longer. And if you knew you could kill her and get away with it, you would.
John pretty much described exactly how I would feel if a blue-haired they-them was yelling at me simply because I referred to her as the wrong pronoun. Arthur has the impressive ability to walk straight through a door without opening it.
Hello, Maddie.
I hope you guys are starting to see why I counted Micah as a sin earlier. Downs coughing blood on Arthur ends up being a much bigger deal later, but it won't be until chapter 6 when it comes up. And good on Rockstar for not making it super obvious from the jump.
You know, we should head back up that mountain sometime and make Jenny a proper grave.
You liked her, didn't you, kid?
Yeah, I liked her.
No, so sad what happened to good old Jenny. Wait a minute, who the fuck is Jenny? Here's one problem with the robbing mechanic in Red Dead Redemption 2. If you try to rob the cash register, the guy will pull out a gun and try to shoot you. If you try to rob the back room, the guy won't go for his gun at all. Does Arthur look scarier when he robs the back room or something? Because I have a wanted level, I might as well talk about the wanted system. The wanted system in this game is something that was stolen from Mafia 3. Even though I despise that game with a passion, the same problems with the wanted system in Mafia 3 still apply here, where you have to stop an NPC before they alert the law threatening to pull off their toenails. Even if you kill the NPC before they alert the law, another NPC will witness what you just did and will also alert the law. This wanted system is a failure of game design that you're better off ignoring. It was annoying in Mafia 3 and it's no different here.
So, I'm too rough to marry into your family, but it's okay to ask me to help in saving your family.
Once again, Arthur will be great at video game sins. Not only does Jamie run off for no reason, but he also fires a gun off into the air, thus scaring the horse, then threatens to shoot himself.
Have I been a terrible fool, Arthur?
Yeah. You set Arthur on a wild goose chase, and when he finally caught up to you, you were about to shoot yourself for no reason.
Stopping a train, pain in the ass.
What if we could force a train to stop?
Forcing the train to stop is something you guys should have done back on the snowy mountains. You guys were standing in the way of a falling tree. What did you fools think was gonna happen?
Would you do something with Jack? He seems kind of down. All this upheaval can't have been easy on the poor kid.
Why are you asking Arthur to take Jack fishing? Shouldn't you be asking John, the kid's biological father?
Enjoy your fishing, kid, while you still can.
Ross's only line in this game serves no purpose other than make his own death years from now more ironic. Ross first meets Jack while he's fishing by a river. At the end of the first game, Jack will later kill Ross while he's fishing by a river. Sean, it's probably not the best idea for you to be shooting next to an oil wagon. I don't know who at Rockstar decided to frame the cutscenes like this, but he or she deserves a raise.
This ain't the right time for you to be learning how to hurt.
Yeah, John, you don't learn that until the first game. This is Rockstar trying to cover their asses by making sure it doesn't create a plot hole, even though they'll allow others to slip by.
My name is Leviticus Cornwall. I am not a man to be messed with
by the likes of you!
After calling out Dutch in the saloon, Cornwall rides away and leaves his men to take care of the situation. The only purpose of doing this is to prevent the player from shooting him while you rescue John Strauss. For no reason at all, the game decides to put you behind cover even though you're meant to escape from Valentine. The thing that makes this even worse is that it doesn't matter how many lawmen you kill, they'll just keep spawning infinitely. 2018 AAA video game, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't take Dutch's patter about redemption too serious.
Roll credits. A criminal starts picking the lock in front of Arthur as if he knew he wasn't going to say anything about it.
I ain't chopping vegetables for a living!
Why is Sadie even here anyways? Despite her being grateful for being saved back on the mountain, she has no reason to stick around. Add the fact that she was never a criminal nor on the run from the law.
Shoot a gun, didn't I?
I don't remember asking you to prove it. Lady, you are enjoying this far too much.
Despite the fact that Sadie gets enjoyment from killing some of these enemies, I would much rather get married to someone like her than a lot of these modern women, and I truly mean that.
I don't care if you kill the whole lot of us. And the Braithwaites.
I don't want to kill anyone.
I love her, you know.
Say hello to this game's knockoff storyline of Romeo and Juliet. Although I must ask, how was Beau and Penelope able to meet and fall in love? Especially because the Greys and the Braithwaites are at each other's throats.
But if they find out, they'll kill him and send me to live someplace awful like Ohio.
Wow, even back in 1899, people knew how weird of a place Ohio is. Only in Ohio, man.
Boss! Place is empty! Shit!
Really, Bill? You couldn't stay still for a couple more seconds?
Might call you a nigger lover. They see us riding like this, but most of it is a glance or a word. And after that, a visit in the night.
Out west, it's...
Out west is out west.
This game is set 30 years after the Civil War. However, Arthur seems to know nothing about race relations in the United States.
I'm sorry! Please forgive me. I know it was wrong. I just couldn't face that he was gone. I was teaching Sammy how to hold the rifle proper out by the river. The recoil shot him backwards. He slipped into the river. The water pulled him downstream so quick. It all happened so fast, I didn't know what to do. I searched up and down that riverbank for days. But I couldn't find my boy. I just miss him so much. And you remind me of him. You look just like him.
It's unfortunate what happened to your son. That still doesn't make it okay to kidnap a grown-ass man and lock him in your basement just because he looks like your dead child.
I didn't mean any offense, sir. Please.
I don't get your meaning.
I'm very sorry, sir. You have yourself a fine day, and I apologize for any offense I may have inadvertently caused.
The way this guy is acting is exactly how people are going to be acting in public at some point. Because people in my generation, which is Gen Z, are such sensitive snowflakes to the point where speaking your own opinion about a certain topic will get you cancelled.
Okay then, partner.
Jeb!
Still.
No, wait.
Now, where were we? Where's my friend, buddy? Come on, speak!
Hey! No, he's in a cabin! Down by Braithwaite Manor, near the cornfield.
Thank you.
Like I said in my previous Sin video, every video game icon has their badass moments. In the cutscene where two bounty hunters are holding Trelawney, Charles aims his gun through my horse. Miraculously, in the next shot, my horse is gone.
Been cooking since Horseshoe, but you went and kicked up all that commotion in Valentine. Now, we was preparing to rob the bank there until you got involved in all that nonsense and...
That makes all the more reason to not go back to Valentine to rob the small town bank. Arthur shot up the town so badly that you guys had to move camp to a different state. Not that I'm complaining, this is my favorite mission throughout the game. It's just that it makes little sense to rob a place that you're currently wanted in.
Can't believe you got me going back to Valentine.
Don't tell me it ain't hurt you leaving that bank behind.
This is coming from the same gang that never ends up robbing the bank in Rhodes. Get this, y'all. After the game forces me into Deadeye, I'm then meant to shoot the remaining targets. After I shoot one of them, the game then takes away honor. It's a sin because the game took away honor from me doing what it wanted me to do. Okay, I don't think I've given this game enough credit for its mission music.
Well, of course, it's
probably a trap, but what do we got to lose finding out?
Your lives? Let's not forget what happened at 6 Point Cabin in Chapter 2. Even Kieran once said that Colm O'Driscoll would lose his mind over it.
Out there? Without you? Colm O'Driscoll's gonna lose his mind about this.
Now all of a sudden he wants to parlay.
But I will.
Arthur just survived a point-blank shotgun round. It was aimed at his neck, and knowing the damage a double-barreled shotgun can do, it should have blown his head off. I know this deer is supposed to be Arthur's spirit animal, but why is Arthur just now dreaming of this near the end of Chapter 3?
Mount up then.
Did Charles's outfit just change? How did both the Greys and the Braithwaites discover the truth at the same time? That's a major detail that the game kind of skipped over.
I never liked you.
Why'd you take the boy, Mrs. Braithwaite?
You stole my
Boys are off
liquor.
limits.
You stole my horses.
Yep, that's right. So as revenge, I decided to kidnap a 4-year-old child that had nothing to do with any of this and give him to a mobster instead, didn't he? Are you running back into the burning mansion?
Come on. Get your damn hands off of me, boy.
Racism.
I knew you'd come. Soon enough. You are some of the coward. Like you. The bounty hunters. The freedmen. The carpetbaggers. The army of criminals who stole our land and our government. I survived them all. Our fight will live on.
That is the first time I've ever seen an NPC think that they're the main character.
Oh, whoa! Hey! You know, you seem real perceptive for a blind man.
Oh, who said that?
You really blind? If you lie to me again, I'll shoot you dead.
Okay, I ain't really blind. Just take it easy.
Pretending to be homeless is bad enough, but pretending to be blind on top of that is very sinful.
Stick 'em up, cowboy.
You had your finger on the trigger and had the hammer pulled back. You could have easily killed Arthur by mistake.
$20 ain't no chicken feed, but sure, I can help you out.
I know it's a little late to point this out, and I get that it's kind of a weird complaint, but it feels pointless as hell to roleplay as a scrappy outlaw when I have $38,000 to my name from doing a couple story missions. Furthermore, while still on the subject of money in this game, $38,000 is more than enough money to flee the country like Dutch wanted. For some reason, the man will still insist on making more money.
You got him. You got my son back. Dutch, Arthur, thank you.
Yeah, Abigail, don't bother thinking John or anything. After Miss Grimshaw plunges a knife into this guy's neck, there ends up being no blood on the knife.
All right, you bring that bastard back to Tilly so we can all have a nice little chat. I'm gonna head over there now to check she's okay.
Why not just ride with Arthur back to Tilly? You both are going to the same place after all.
Run away with me, Arthur. Run away right now and don't look back.
I want to. More than anything I want to. But I've got some people I need to take care of. If we're gonna run away anywhere, we'd need money.
I understand Arthur not wanting to abandon people within the camp, but the last time I looked at how much money I had in game, it was $38,000. At the time that this game is set, that is more than enough money to run away with someone. Arthur is an experienced gunman, yet somehow didn't notice that this guy was carrying a second gun.
I mean, why the hell do we need a gaggle of girls who won't even fuck you if you put a gun to their head?
Because they can be useful for robberies, like a distraction, for example. Am I the only one that remembers Kieran's act in the mission where you guys robbed the bank in Valentine? Once again, Arthur the Magician shows his amazing trick of walking through a door without opening it. The O'Driscolls could have just sniped one of the gang members from a distance, yet they decided to send in a horse with Kieran's decapitated corpse. Going back to what I said about Sadie in Chapter 3, here's one primary example of her not needing to stick around the Vanderlyn gang. Just look at how she took care of these O'Driscolls on her own.
Hand over all your money now. Quick.
Okay. Fine, it's yours.
That is the second time that this game took away honor from me doing what it wanted me to do. The game wanted me to rob these people in the trolley station, and once I did that, they said fuck you and took away honor for no reason. Plus 5 sins.
$15. Oh, and a quarter. Don't forget the quarter.
Arthur the Jester strikes again.
Shoot that lock, Arthur.
Game, I already had a shotgun. There was no need to make Dutch pass one to me. Something about Arthur in the mirror looks a little off.
No, I surrender. I surrender.
You can carry him.
I ain't touching that piece of shit.
But John, you just did. Did this guy's hat just clip through his body?
I got it. A boat.
Dutch, you are getting dangerously close to sounding like Kenny from Telltale's The Walking Dead.
Who is... Excuse me, buddy! Hey, stop! Stop, stop!
Not only does Charles walk up to the 4 of those guards and purposely get himself spotted, but he somehow loses the 4 of those guards and escapes town on foot with no explanation. Since Charles was able to escape town so easily, instead of sneaking on board, you were better off following his lead.
I ain't no sailor, but, that cloud look like good news to you?
Listen, I know the Van Ruin gang isn't the most honorable people on earth, but how much does God hate these people to have this happen to them? First, they lost several gang members as well as the money from that ferry job in Blackwater. They damn near froze to death on the mountains. The Pinkertons found Arthur while he was fishing by a river. Arthur, Dutch, and John shot up Valentine so badly that the gang had to move camp to a different state. The gang gets betrayed by both the Greys and the Braithwaites, thus getting Sean killed. Jack gets kidnapped. Tilly also gets kidnapped by Anthony Foreman. Kieran gets his head decapitated as well as his eyes cut out. The O'Driscolls put an attack on the Van Ruin gang within their own camp. They lost both Hosea and Lenny during the bank robbery in St. Denis. John Marston gets arrested, and now this happens. Arthur jumps off of a sinking ship that somehow catches fire even though it wasn't raining. He becomes unconscious underwater and wakes up on the shore a couple hours later even though realistically he would have drowned. Arthur somehow ends up on the same island that Dutch, Bill, Micah, and Javier washed up on.
Who are you? Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from?
First of all, how do you expect him to answer your questions when you are constantly hitting him before he has the chance to say anything? Second of all, if you're tied to a chair, you would not be able to easily escape by just falling over.
What was that?
Horrible old crone.
But you killed her.
She was gonna betray us, Arthur.
Dutch decides to strangle this old woman, yet he doesn't take back the gold bar that he gave her. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and despite how much I love Chapter 5, it does feel kinda pointless. Not only is it the shortest chapter throughout the game, outside of Chapter 1, but it's also just a timestamp for things to unfold on the mainland, especially because it's set almost entirely on Guarma. Somehow pistol whipping Arthur doesn't knock his hat off. A Cuban standoff? The fuck? You know, Arthur, it's a lot less work for you to just shoot him yourself rather than kicking the rifle to the captain. Milton was in front a second ago, but when Arthur kicks the door open, he's nowhere to be found.
Arthur, do you have my bag?
Dutch's paranoia and growing anxiety is so believable that I have to take off a cent for how well done it is.
There is country in Roanoke Ridge past Butcher Creek. I believe we could hold. You and Charles, you could take folks up that way.
I want you and Charles to scope out a cave where crazy cannibals live and make that a new home.
Spit in your eye. I did. I told them!
Told who? What?
Mr. Milton and Mr. Ross about the bank robbery, and I wanted them to kill you!
Molly knows damn well that she's not the rat and that it's someone else within the camp, yet she continues to say stuff like this to Dutch and ends up getting herself killed.
What is it?
It's not good news.
I guess that.
You got tuberculosis.
Going back to what I said about Downs coughing blood on Arthur in Chapter 2, here in Chapter 6 is that payoff. The only problem is that it would take years for tuberculosis to start showing symptoms. Yet Arthur got infected with it a couple of months ago and is already reaching the end stage of it. Also, don't worry Arthur, it was a canon event. Are you seriously smoking right next to a patient with a lung disease?
Up and away!
How does that make any type of sense?
What are you doing?
They're shooting at us!
I can see that.
The guards start shooting at the balloon, but they're not able to put a round into it. At this point in the game, it's worth noting that Arthur is clearly not the same person he was back in Chapter 1. The best evidence of this is the side missions you can do in Chapter 6. In a couple of these side missions, Arthur is confronted by the widow of the man he got tuberculosis from, and her son. Not only will Arthur do everything in his power to help them, but it's also worth noting that while doing debt missions for Strauss, Arthur now has the option to absolve the debt. To show you how much Arthur has really changed as a person, you can even see how sorry Arthur is in this cutscene. The cherry on top is that when Arthur rides back to camp, he can even kick Strauss out of the gang. Back in Chapter 2 when Arthur and the gang rescued Sean, Arthur said that we can't be rescuing people from no federal prison, yet here they are rescuing John Marston from a federal prison. Also, how is it that the cover system is somehow worse than it was in the first game in Undead Nightmare? Those games were released 8 years prior to when this game was released.
Are you feeling alright, Arthur?
Yeah, I'm alright, Dutch. I just have a life-threatening disease that can end my life at any moment. You?
They killed her! They killed Miss Calhoun! All she wanted was a better lot for women, and they killed her, those pigs.
I understand that you guys wanted a better life for women and the ability to vote, but at the same time, you knew the consequences you'd face from this action. Bo even once said that around here they don't even like men voting. You even once said to him during a rally that you are prepared to die for the cause. So you should not be surprised one bit that this actually happened.
You know, I had a son once. Turned out some bastards had come through, robbed him, and shot him dead, and offered $10.
So Arthur had a cum sprout that died before the game started. Gee, this sounds familiar. John Marston's daughter.
I was a married woman. You know what they did to me. And to my husband? You're the only one of these fools that I trust. I've got to do this.
Why do you need further closure to your story with the O'Driscolls? You already saw Combe hang. Red Dead 2 has way too many storylines for one game in my opinion. You have Dutch losing his mind, the Native Americans versus the army, the Pinkertons, Arthur dying of tuberculosis and trying to seek redemption with little time he has left, John Marston being set up to be a secondary main character, Sadie needing further closure to her story with the O'Driscolls, and Arthur helping a grieving widow survive. Arthur hasn't blacked out from his tuberculosis since the beginning of chapter 6, yet it randomly happens here for some reason. I should have said this back in chapter 1 when I was still on the subject of this game's piss poor controls, but the movement of characters in Rockstar's games has always felt heavy. That's not really the problem, but in exchange for them being heavy, you get a more complicated process when it comes to doing things like climbing, jumping, and entering cover, and it feels a bit clunky depending on what's in front of you. If you compare Arthur's movements to how you'll control a character in a Naughty Dog game, you'll quickly find out how good it feels to move someone like Abby or Joel, as opposed to how restricted and clunky it feels to move someone like Arthur or John. Controlling a character in the Naughty Dog game feels fluid, like you're fully in control of every small movement. I'm not saying controlling Arthur should feel like controlling Nathan Drake from Uncharted, or that John should be dodging people like Ellie from The Last of Us, but Arthur and John's transitions from cover, climbing over something small, or vaulting over can use some of Naughty Dog's touch. Going into cover or turning a quick corner feels more like a chore than increasing the sense of immersion. Whenever I climb or vault over something, I kinda feel locked in the animation, and it shouldn't feel like that even for a game that released in 2018. Watch Grand Theft Auto 6 play similar, if not exactly like this. Okay, I will say that Rockstar has balls for putting the Ku Klux Klan in Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead 2 released back when Rockstar was still the South Park of video games. Just like South Park, Rockstar would basically be like, we're gonna put this rude or offensive detail into our game, and if you don't like it or get offended by it, that's your goddamn problem. I miss the old Rockstar.
Mr. Morgan, after you helped me after we spoke, you helped this fella, Arthur?
How are you gonna get mad at Arthur for not telling you what he's been up to when you have a boatload of money hidden in the caves that you never once told Arthur about?
I had a plan! I still have a plan!
Dutch is starting to sound like a broken record at this point. He keeps saying that he has a plan, yet he refuses to elaborate on what that plan is. Saving the hero in the nick of time cliche. That guy just took a shotgun to the chest, meaning he shouldn't have enough life in him to shoot the lanterns out. Not that I'm complaining, but John Marston survives this. Also Joe, John Marston fell to your left. What are you looking to the right for? Uh-oh, this mission is titled Red Dead Redemption. I'm sure this totally isn't the mission that Arthur dies during.
Micah Bell. We picked him up when you boys came back from the Caribbean, and he's been a good boy ever since.
Micah was the main one talking in Dutch's ear and egging him on to do certain things. Not only did Micah know the location and the area of the camp, but he also knew all of Dutch's plans. This is how I know you did a bad job of making use of Micah as a mole. The man has been feeding you guys information ever since they came back from Guarma, and for some reason you never acted on any of it. Arthur Morgan is not only the best protagonist Rockstar has ever made, but he's also one of the best protagonists in video game history. He's so well written that you're going to think that he was an actual person at some point. Arthur's last ride made me tear up a bit. -1 sin for Arthur's last ride.
The many miles we walk, the many things we learn, the building of a shrine, only just to burn. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
Oh, you're a good man. I just wish you'd done it before he worked himself into the grave.
Really sorry for you, son. It's a hell of a thing.
And all you can do now is decide the man you want to be for the time you have left.
May the wind be at your back. Good fortune touch your hand. May the cards lay out astray. All from your command. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
You saved my life. You're a good man. Thank you, Bella. You know, there ain't enough kindness in this world, that's for sure.
Maybe it's a sign, Arthur. Try to do the good thing.
Shine light into darkness. Shine light into
No, not horse cum, you monsters! Almost everyone who played this game and made it up to this point chose the option to help John. The option to go back for the money shouldn't even exist for players who have high honor. For some unknown reason, Micah decides to follow Arthur and John up into the mountains just to kill them, even though he could have just escaped or went back for the money. So Arthur dies from his lung disease, and the last thing he sees is the morning sunrise. I would have taken off a sin if we didn't get a 6-hour epilogue of John Marston doing nothing but ranching, bounty hunting, and building a house. In my unpopular opinion, it should have been a DLC, and it even feels like one. I'm not saying that this game needs one, but the last time Rockstar pushed out a story DLC for their games, it was for the extra case missions in LA Noire, and that was back in 2011. This is actual footage of Rockstar milking GTA Online for a 10th year in a row.
How old are you now, Lancelot?
12, sir.
Jack's voice sounds way too deep for a 12-year-old. Your voice wouldn't get that deep until you're at least 14.
You want to watch your mouth, boy. You will be the first one we kill.
Trevor Phillips, what are you doing in this game?
Stop acting like a goddamn storybook hero, will ya?
What choice did I have?
Plenty, you moron.
So you're mad at John for not letting someone walk all over him?
Maybe try Marston. John Marston.
You know, John, you could have just written your name on a piece of paper instead of trying to whisper it, and then politely ask the guy not to repeat it out loud so the guy in the back doesn't hear him. In another one of my unpopular opinions, in the epilogue, gameplay wise of course, you're basically just playing as Arthur with John Marston's head attached. For starters, am I the only one that noticed that John's hair in the epilogue is just Arthur's hair but colored black? And John's body type looks way too similar if not the same as Arthur's. I understand the hat, satchel, and weapons because Arthur gave them to John before he passed away, but why the hell is John Marston able to wear Arthur's outfit? Also, side note, if you wear Arthur's outfit in the epilogue, John will wear the neckerchief with a closed collar, even though you're supposed to wear it in between an open one.
Long as she bathes first in sheep dip, get the stink of you off of her, farmhand!
We got a son. I got a son. And I love our son enough that I can't have him around while you're like this.
This scene is basically just a carbon copy of that scene from GTA 5, where Michael finds a note from Amanda explaining that she left him and took the kids with her after getting spiked by Jimmy.
My pen name is Leslie DuPont.
Just like Sadie and Charles, I don't think the feds ever knew about Mary Beth, so what reason would she have to change her name? The honor system might as well not even exist in the epilogue. It does work better than it did in the first game, but it really only matters when you're playing as Arthur. So if you're in the epilogue and you're playing as John and you lose honor, don't even trip, because just like in the first game, there is no real consequence in terms of the story or John's behavior for losing honor in the epilogue. Rockstar, you can't have a part 2 epilogue. At this point, it's safe to say that this is chapter 7 and 8.
Charles Smith is alive, I reckon.
Charles Smith alive? Really?
Well, John, it's been 8 years and you're still alive. Also, there was no indication that Charles was dead. Why would I bet against Charles? Charles was shirtless in this shot, yet in the next shot he has clothes on.
Damn it! Ah!
Okay, Magnifico unintentionally pulling a rabbit out of nowhere is pretty hilarious.
It's awful. It's a dump. The house has gotta go.
For once, I agree with Uncle. John really looked at this outhouse and was like, yep, this place is gonna work for me and my family. Abigail and Jack are gonna love this place.
Fella came by the farm, got attacked on the road. He said the Skinner brothers was hanging around.
It's a little late to be introducing new villains, don't you think? We are literally in the second part of the epilogue, aka Chapter 8, which is the final chapter of the game. As a matter of fact, Naughty Dog did the same thing in The Last of Us Part 2 by introducing the Rattlers in the epilogue of that game. Is that the same haircut John had before the epilogue and in the first game? You know, the same stringy, dark brown, greasy hair he should be having right now in the epilogue, instead of Arthur's hair being colored jet black and plopped on John's head. John's eyes in the first game were never blue. He was never as muscular as Arthur, in fact he was a bit skinnier, and now his neck and cheekbones for some reason looks like Arthur's. In the beta version of Red Dead 2, you can see from some early promo shots that John Marston was originally supposed to look more like his NPC model before the epilogue, but was changed to resemble Arthur. Why was this done? Honestly, I have no fucking idea. Your guess is as good as mine. The fact that you're playing as Arthur with John Marston's face attached still gets me, so I'm saying it once again.
We will find you, and we will kill you.
I preferred it when you was offering money.
Oh, you want money? Hey, take my money.
But you was just saying you was gonna kill me.
Oh, you let me go? I'll forget about all this.
You see, Ramon, what we got here is a trust issue. But you're just saying anything you think might get you out of this.
Sadie would be amazing at video game sins. No, seriously, if she was real, she would be better at this than I am.
It's gonna be okay. A few days, you're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, Uncle. Ignore the 2 cut marks on your chest and the 2nd-degree burn. Just sleep it off, you'll be fine.
Well, suck it, Dad. Are you sucking? Keep going. Don't swallow it.
This guy has the power to develop a photo in 27 seconds, even though in 1907, the year the epilogue is set, the entire process of developing a photo could take several hours or even longer.
You risk all this? For what? For Micah?
In spite of all the horrible things Micah has done, and him being partly responsible for the death of a man who once saved John's life back on the mountains, and was also like a brother to him, you expect John to just let Micah get away with it.
I can't do it, Sadie. Not like this.
As you wish.
What was the point in giving me an option to spare Clea if Sadie was just gonna shoot him anyways? Rockstar basically just pulled the Telltale Games on us. It all ends where it begins, cliche. How do you miss those shots from that distance? John shoots Micah in the head 6 times, meaning Micah has 6 bullets in the side of his face, yet he doesn't immediately drop dead. The Pinkertons, or Edgar Ross if you want to be specific, ends up finding Micah's body and later finds John Marston's ranch, yet he'll wait 4 years to even act on it by taking John's family into custody and forcing John to hunt down Bill, Javier, and Dutch. Don't know why he waited so long. He could have done that the second he found John Marston's ranch.
I had a goddamn plan!